Was there one defining incident where you realized that you controlled your future?
Yes, Jack, there was an incident where my family was in a car accident. We were hit by drunk teenagers and almost killed everybody in my family. And I was staying at our neighbor's house with my one brother, David, whereas my other brother and my mom and dad were in the hospital for like 2 months. We grew up on a little farm, and so as an 11-and-a-half-year-old, where my parents are in the hospital, and I have no idea what's going to happen with our future, I had to walk down to our little farm with my brother, but this particular day I'm walking by myself. So all of you who are moms and dads out there, I want you to pretend that this is your child. Imagine your child needing to call upon these skills. I'm 11-and-a-half years old, deciduous forest all around. I'm walking down the road. I'm walking up our long driveway, and I'm going, I can do this thing we call life. I can do this thing we call life. Now that's a phrase my mom had already given me. You can't pull that up unless you already have it. And I'm walking up that driveway, and I get up to the house, and I know that our animals are totally dependent upon us. We were dependent upon everything that we grew and the animals we raised. My family was very poor. I didn't even have a bathroom. And I'm walking up that driveway, and I open the door, and there's my dog. And I'm going, oh, Buffy, you're the best dog. You're awesome. We love you. And again, as a kid, I had to have empathy for my dog and be able to be there for my dog. Instead of going in and getting my dog all riled up, I'm going, okay, come on, Buffy, come on, let's go out. And I grab the basket, and I go up to the chicken coop, and I open up the chicken coop door. I'm going, oh, you're the best chickens, and I'm making sure I latch the door because I know the chickens can't get out. I'm 11-and-a-half years old, and I'm feeding the chickens, and I'm gathering eggs, and I take eggs, and I put them in the basket, and I go, you're the best chickens, you are so great, just like we always did. And I close the door, and I make sure to latch it, and the dog's running around, and then I go to the pigs. And I'm even thinking, the pigs are used to having table scraps, and I run down to the garden, and I grab some lettuce, and I'm running up with juggling lettuce and tomatoes and corn, and I'm throwing it into the pig trough. We love you, pigs, you're the best pigs. And my little heart is breaking because my mom and dad are in the hospital, and we don't know if they're going to survive or how they're going to be. And I'm doing everything that I can. And then I go down and I pick some stuff and put it in a basket, and I pick up beans and I pick up tomatoes because the people we're staying with, they're poor too, and they need food. And I'm taking the eggs in the basket down to the end of the drive along with the beans and the tomatoes. And instead of turning up the street to my left to go to their house, I walk down to the right a half a mile. And then I walk 1.5 miles on a dirt road and through a part of a forest. And there's a hospital that had just been built. And my mom's in that hospital. And back then, they didn't let kids in hospitals. And I'm walking up and I'm thinking, what has happened to my life? And I just want the security and the comfort that I had before. And I walk up to the hospital window. That's my mother's room, and I tap on the window. And my mother struggles out of bed, holding her arm like this, because she had had her arm almost totally torn off and put back on her body. And she comes to the window, and I go, hi, Mom. I said, everything's okay. I took care of the dog, and I took care of the chickens, I took care of the pigs, and I picked the stuff in the gardens, and I picked some stuff for Stormy's house too. And I can do this, Mom. I can do this thing we call life. And my mom looks right at me through the window, her eyes looking into mine, holding her arm, and she goes, I know you can do this thing we call life, Susie. I know you can. You're my daughter. And I leave that hospital going, I can do this. And I walk back down that dirt path, and I climb an apple tree. And in that apple tree I sit. Now, I don't know what your faith base is out there, but I, as a little 11-and-a-half-year-old, sometimes we have to call upon that which is greater than we are, and I knew that. And I sat in that apple tree, and I took an apple, and I went, Our Father, And I would chew and say each part of the Lord's Prayer to give myself strength and comfort. Crying, praying for guidance and strength, and calling upon the skills my mother taught us. And then I remembered Stormy's family needs food too. And I tucked my shirt into my pants, and I tucked my pants into my socks, and I filled up my shirt and my pants with apples. And I must have been quite a sight walking down that road, going back to Stormy's house. And at the end of my driveway, as I'm waddling with apples, and I pick up the basket with the beans and the tomatoes and the basket with the eggs, and I walk up to Stormy's house, and I walk in the house, and I wash the apples, put them in a bowl, and I put the eggs in the refrigerator and the other things on the counter, and I went out to help them with their chores. Because emotional intelligence is what allows us to participate in life. And as a child, I realized I had to call upon everything I had already learned. And that's when I started to realize that I can do this thing we call life, and life isn't always what we think it's going to be. And yet when we handle it, even in the very difficult times, it brings a real satisfaction and a joy inside. I want to help your child have skills that will allow them to grow up and mean it when they say, I believe in me. It worked for me, and I know it can work for them too. Thank you. See you next time.